What are your current opinions on Gen Z, this new generation coming up?
I think there's a whole idea that people are lazy and all the rest of it's a load of rubbish. I was a teacher of secondary school for many years. The kids have always been the same as they are. It's just that things are more difficult. It's not an unwillingness not to do things. It's just the way things are. I think society's let young people down.
I've worked with a few young people. They're not lazy. They're willing to work. They're willing to learn. You're asked to attain goals that our generation could actually achieve with the wages and the work. But now, I wouldn't like to think I was starting again.
Well, I appreciate your time. Cheers.
Yo, my people, welcome back to my channel, Yano Show. KE, hope you're good, hope you're fine. I just want to appreciate you, my new subscribers, for just much love you're showing my channel. So, guys, there's this story that I want to react on, it that Gen Zs, white Gen Zs are lazy. And many people have called, they have reacted on this story saying that white Gen Zs are lazy, or in general, these Gen Zs of this generation are lazy. And they see that workers in industries and people that are looking for workers have complained about this story of Gen Zs being lazy. So I don't know what is your take on this story. Do you think that these Gen Zs are lazy, or what is your take on this generation? And do you think that millennials have come on, Generation X have come on to say about this Gen Z being lazy? And I don't know which criteria they are using, but they are saying that if you ask these Gen Zs what work are you doing, they say that they work online, they are influencers, they want to be they don't want much effort works. So let us meet there in the comment section. What do you think about Generation X, Generation Z? Are they lazy, or what is your take? So don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share.
What are your current opinions on Gen Z, this new generation coming up?
I think there's a whole idea that people are lazy and all the rest of it's a load of rubbish. I was a teacher of secondary school for many years. The kids have always been the same as they are. It's just that things are more difficult. It's not an unwillingness not to do things. It's just the way things are. I think society's let young people down.
I've worked with a few young people. They're not lazy. They're willing to work. They're willing to learn. You're asked to attain goals that our generation could actually achieve with the wages and the work. But now, I wouldn't like to think I was starting again.
Well, I appreciate your time. Cheers.
As a fellow Gen Z, yes, you guys do a stare, okay? And it's not just when somebody is being stupid to you in customer service. I hate to say it, but I think a lot of you also just don't like doing anything. You guys don't like interacting with people. You guys don't like tiny conversations. Like, you guys act like it's so mentally taxing. And I think because of therapy speech and just online, like, you guys are very good at taking words and almost like weaponizing them and telling people like, well, that's because blank, that's because blank, that's because blank. It's, you guys kind of give excuses for just simple, tiny interactions that you have to do as a human. And that's why we don't have community anymore. I'm just being very honest, because you guys act like doing anything is like running a fucking marathon or picking up the world and throwing it at somebody. And I'm saying this because there's been, sorry, my AC's on. There's been so many experiences where I've been like, okay, how many people at the table? And you guys are just like, when it's obviously like 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, simple questions you guys ask, you act like it takes a million of nerves and energy to do it. It's very weird.
No, I don't work Friday nights, or I don't work Saturdays. Like, say,
I think that's
I want
setting
to
boundaries
work
and
on
then
breakfast
valuing a
television.
work-life balance.
Like, say, Gen Z have been brought up, they've been protected, they've been, in some cases, mollycoddled. And only through adversity do you get some kind of backbone, some kind of resilience,
But I think
and a work
that we
ethic.
have
I'd
at
just
the
like to finish, if that's all right, Adjoa.
Oh.
And I think
you're
that
criticising Adjua's generation. It's only fair that
I'm
she
saying,
steps up.
That's absolutely fine by me, and I would like to finish my point. I'm saying it's not that generation's fault. It's the fact that they have been brought up to feel entitled, to feel that anybody can do anything, which is patently not true.
But anybody
Have
can
a
do
go.
anything.
And I think that the Gen Z generation have a sense of innovation, they have a sense of efficiency.
You know, where's your evidence that Adjua's generation is this entitled generation that hasn't had the adversity?
Many business leaders have spoken about the difficulty.
Which ones?
Oh, I can't name them, but there are many of them.
But if you had experience,
I don't have personal
Of working
experience
with
because
you.
I am not that generation. But I'm saying
What have they said?
They have said it's almost impossible to find people, to find staff, because
I think that's wrong. I think the Gen Z
they-
generation are
that's-
suffering
hang on.
from unemployment. They're suffering from the amount of jobs that are available are dropping.
because
and they're becoming more innovative. They're finding more avenues to find the jobs.
They are making demands instead of going for an interview for a job and saying, you know, what are the conditions of the job, and saying yes, I can take. They say,
Can you describe Gen Z in one word?
Lazy.
Why?
That's just a stigma that Gen Z folks have, unfortunately. But I know some that are not lazy. But generally, I think they are.
And what do you do for a living?
I work in banking.
And what does your day-to-day look like?
I talk to a lot of people. I talk to customers, and I talk to a lot of employees and our different teams and try and get stuff done. When you work at a bank, you generally have like challenges internally, right? So dealing with like different stakeholders, different teams that all have different agendas and things to accomplish, and then you talk to clients and make sure they want to do business with you.
And if you could give one piece of advice to our audience, what would that be?
Try as many things as you can early in your career, because you won't know what you like until you actually do it.
They can always afford smoke and beer, and it doesn't affect me, but it makes me think when you do a program like you're doing that they should get up and do more.
Do you think people are more stressed, or do you think they're just more open about talking about stress?
No, I think they're just lazy.
They're just lazy, so they use it as an excuse.
Because look, they've all got, I don't know about dishwashers, but washing machines, and everything is easy for everybody today. We didn't have... I mean, who did the washing in the machine years ago?
Gloria, respectfully, what's easy about having £80,000 of debt, knowing that you're never going to afford a place of your own, which means you might which means you might be made homeless at any point if you don't meet your rent payments. What's easy about having a 0 hours contract where you paid the minimum wage, which actually isn't enough to cover your rent in the first place? I don't think that's easy.
No, it isn't. I understand all that, but I still feel, look, if I'm out anywhere, all the restaurants with the young kids are in there, all that, maybe I don't see the other side of life.
John's a professor, and he says his Gen Z students are lazy, less motivated, only interested in themselves, and need to socialize more, that they're consumed by their phones. You say if somebody's up giving a presentation or whatever, not them, they don't even pay attention to it.
They seem to want to focus on their phones more than listening and learning. So it's frustrating for me sometimes. Again, not generalizing that all students are like that, but a lot of them are on their phones while I'm talking. And I say, if you need to talk on your phone, you can go outside and talk on your phone.
Are they failing?
No, because of grade inflation. Grade inflation scares me.
What is grade inflation?
They all expect to get A's no matter what. But years ago, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
I've been teaching for almost 40 years, and I feel a lot of pressure on myself to give the students at least a C, even if they're not doing an adequate amount of work.
Oh. Which, first and foremost, thank you for being like a teacher and a professor. Like when I was in school, I always, you know, I'm not going to say I was the perfect person. Yeah, I have a little bit of attitude.
But again, I've learned also from your generation that I have to understand where you're coming from.
Do you think we like waste our time on our phones essentially?
No, because I'm turning into one of you. I'm on my phone all the time now.
Oh, he's going to the dark side.
I get a message from Apple that says you were on your phone for 5 hours a day last week. I'm like, oh my God, I'm turning into a Gen Z person.
What's another thing that Gen Zers blame the baby boomers for? We'll talk about that next. I'd like to know, does the younger generation feel they're dealing with what the older generation has left behind? Because that's kind of a generational thing.
You think they're lazier now? People are lazier?
Oh, definitely. This generation, yeah.
Why do you think so?
It's just out there. You can see it in public and everywhere you go that the younger generation doesn't really want to work for the almighty dollar anymore, where we work a lot harder in our day. Because they know how to do it, they just don't want to do it. If you're smart enough and aggressive enough and you want to make a living for yourself, you got everything on the internet right there.
How do I get to the level?
Mentality.
Mentality?
Some brains.
You gotta want it. You gotta want it.
These new children are lazy. I told my son, go downstairs and get some out the car. His response is it heavy? I don't give a damn if it's 2,000 pounds. Go get what I told you to get. When the kids start responding to requests with questions, I wish we would have did something like that with our parents. Ask your mama a question when she tell you to do something. You'll be picking your teeth up off the ground. I tell you what, parents, start doing that to your kids. When they ask you for something, respond with a question. Mama, I'm hungry. Well, did you buy something to eat? Mom, I need some new shoes for school. What did you order you some? Dad, I tried to come in the house and my key didn't work. What did you pay the mortgage? I'm just saying, I feel like they ain't gonna learn until we actually teach them. So let's have a teachable.
Something that I find to be super interesting is the fact that older generations, I'm hearing them say a lot about how younger generations don't want to work or to like put in the reps, like put in the work. And typically, like when I hear this, you know, it's applied to the concept of corporate life and Gen Z, maybe not so much millennials, maybe some millennials, like younger millennials, getting to this point where we don't want to work or we don't want to like grind for companies. And I honestly do have a hard time with hearing this because I think that I personally have a narrative where I struggle with it because currently right now I'm in a corporate position and I have gotten to a point where I just don't feel like I have enough time outside of work where I'm able to like do the things that I'm passionate about, do what I enjoy, and have that work-life balance because I am commuting pretty far as well. And I struggle when I see that kind of feedback on it because it almost is like this identity like problem for me where I'm like trying to find proof in myself that I'm not lazy and that just because I don't want to climb the corporate ladder and I don't want to work my ass off for a company that makes me lazy. I think a lot of people struggle with this and it being said and like thrown around so much, especially Gen Z and millennials, because I think we inherently know we're not lazy. And when people are saying that as a group we are lazy because we don't specifically want to climb the corporate ladder, like we don't want to conform to this way of living, and we really don't want to buy into this whole idea of how we're supposed to live our lives, I don't think that makes us lazy. And I think that for a lot of us, especially me, like when someone is saying that because I don't want to climb the corporate ladder and I don't want to hustle and work my butt off for a company that is not my own, that it makes me lazy. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people who are calling our generation lazy are referring to people who actually don't want to work and maybe they're living at home and not working. But I guess like that's what happens when you generalize an entire group of people is, you know, I'm part of that group and it's like I am struggling with some of these things where I don't necessarily want to hustle for a company. I would much rather, you know, do what makes me happy and like work in a position that I feel fulfilled in and I have passion for, and maybe work on some other side stuff that I really enjoy tapping into. But I really do think that our generation, Gen Z, and some of the millennials, I really do think that we are asking really great questions that generations before us haven't really been asking, which is really like tapping into what is it that will make me happy long term, because we know that this way of living here in America is not going to give us the happiness that we are looking for. I don't think that there's anything wrong with trying to find balance in your life in a way that is going to work for you and maybe not look like everyone else's way of doing things.
Gen Z workers are lazy, some bosses say. Some bosses. They don't do anything unless every second of their day is managed. Jordan Hart, you oil baron mouthpiece. How much did Amazon pay you for this? It really is true that the whole boomer saying nobody wants to work anymore, like spiel, has been a thing since the dawn of time. That has always been a strategy that corporations always throw. Nobody wants to work anymore. This generation's too lazy. I can't believe that people don't want to do that. Why are they so lazy? Bro, none of this is normal. It's also like a very dishonest thing today. What do you mean unless every second of their day is managed? I mean, yeah, if you want to get brutally honest, yeah, nobody wants to go to work. Gen Z workers are lazy? Yeah, I mean, yeah, work sucks. I don't understand how you could write this and consider yourself a good person. That's just my opinion. I can't believe Gen Z doesn't want to be part of this fucked up system. That's insane to me. Why can't they be like their parents and grandparents and take part in a system that regularly exploits them? How dare they be smart? Shut up, Jordan.
Okay, so boom. The Gen Z stare is real, man. We definitely do that stare a lot. Like, me just sitting back, I had to do a whole lot of research. I had to analyze this whole Gen Z stare thing. And you know I did a video on here about my experiences with the Gen Z stare, but I didn't really grasp or understand the concept of what it really meant. But from what the videos I've seen on here, a lot of Gen Zers are using it as like, oh, this customer gave me a bad experience, or they was yelling at me, or they did something terrible. I understand that, trust me. Gotta give them that stare. But if it's just like your line is like open and stuff and you're not saying that, you just stare at them like a blank stare. Look guys, I know that wasn't really my best impression of that stare. It's like an awkward type of stare. You know, they don't really say that. It's something like that, but y'all get it. But if you're doing that stare just for that, bro, you lack people skills and you need a social life. Because it doesn't take much just to say to a customer, oh, come to my line, you know what I'm saying? I'm open. So you can just ring them up and they can just go. Like, I don't understand why they're using it as like a gaslighting and all this. Like, come on, guys. And the main reason why you Gen Zers do this is because you're mainly glued to that cell phone, bro. It's that electronic device, and it's fucking you guys up on how you communicate and talk to people at these jobs or public settings somewhere. Like, seriously, I'm a Gen Zer myself, and I'm saying this right now.
I was told that Gen Z was going to save us, and then I saw one proudly call himself a fascist on Jubilee, so now what? We tend to always think this about the next generation. I thought my generation was going to be the one to save the world, but we didn't really do shit. So far, the most progressive generation that I've seen is the millennials, so let's hope that holds up. I thought my generation, Generation X, was going to do a lot of good because we were the first real generation to grow up unsegregated. So I foolishly thought that racism would probably die with our generation because we would raise our kids to not be that way, but here we still are. But here are my thoughts about the whole Jubilee thing, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there is a rage bait type site that has these debates between well-known influencers and media people against like the opposite. Like they had a room full of liberals versus Charlie Kirk or Candace Owen. The most recent one was a bunch of shitty young MAGA people against Mehdi Hassan, and if you don't know who he is, I highly recommend you look him up and follow him. So I'm seeing a variety of arguments about this whole situation that Jubilee does not need to be platforming these people at all because they don't need to have their voices heard in society, and I totally get that. But also, I feel like that these people do need to be platformed on some level, but not like Jubilee, because I think that society needs that wake-up call. They need to see that these people still exist in society. Because most of the people that he was debating against were like in their 20s. They weren't my age or older. We keep thinking that America is becoming more progressive, but what if that rot isn't aging out? It's more evolving. I don't know that that's the case, but we should probably treat it like it might be. So the question is, do we fight fire with airtime? Do we expose the extremists? Because it doesn't always work in our favor. Because one of the guys was pro-Nazi, he lost his job, and then he set up a GoFundMe and raised $20,000 in like 2 days. That's not cool. But we also live in a country where a white woman called an autistic black kid the N-word and then got $1 million for it. I don't know. All I know is that I'm tired of this, and I know a lot of us are tired of this, but we have to keep up this fight. Should we not platform these people under any circumstances, or should we platform them to expose them? Because I see merit in both sides. Because if we're going to let them speak, we need to be prepared to speak louder and smarter. I don't agree with the way that Jubilee set this whole thing up, because sometimes you don't expose the rot, you help it find an audience, and that is not helpful to society. Because if we're going to hear from fascists, I'd like to hear a little less applause in the background. There's a fine line between holding a mirror up to society and giving hate a spotlight, and right now, that line is blurry as hell.